This podcast contains detailed plot spoilers, adult language, and mature themes. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to a podcast of Rare Antiquities, special edition again. Today we are going back to the land of punishment that is Star Trek Picard. Welcome, gentlemen, and welcome, Nathan. First time you're joining us to review the show. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a little bit past my bedtime, but I'm actually glad to kind of talk about this.
Okay. Just to, Geoff, it's been a while since we've done this, and Nathan, you're joining us for the first time to talk about Picard, so we'll just try and keep this short and sweet, like an hour at most, so I'll do my best to kind of watch the time and move through some points. First, because Nathan, you did not join us for the past two seasons of Picard. I'm assuming you finished watching both seasons by now. Give us your high-level thoughts on those two seasons.
Yeah, very briefly, I was largely positive on the first season. The second season, for me, it was a real slog. And then I think about halfway through the season 2, I just stopped watching. And that's when while it was on. Was that last year or early last year? I was like, I don't even want to go back. I'm done with it. And I did not finish season 2 until just earlier this week, just in preparation for this. Yeah, I really didn't like it to the point where I even questioned my feelings about the first season, which was certainly not perfect. I think probably a lot of that's sort of colored by my feelings for many of the people involved with the show. Yeah, so that's kind of my high level view of
fair enough.
Shows. Yeah.
Jeff, has your opinion changed at all since we've watched them?
No, not really. I think my opinion on season 1 was largely the same, which was sort of medium positive. I liked season 1 well enough. I think there was some good moments there. Some fun character moments and some fun callbacks. And, then bringing Jerry Ryan in was great. And then some real questionable story beats, especially in the finale. But, again, it was fine. Season 2, I liked the first episode. Thought the second episode was okay. And then largely a total disaster of a TV show after that. John Delancey managed to class the joint up a little bit when he, was limited screen time. But yeah, season 2 was, I think you'd have to say season 2 of Picard was a total failure. So
yeah, my opinion, garbage shit, both of them. So let's move on. For those interested in listening to our reviews, go back and listen. They are there in the interwebs. So let's talk about season 3. So I'm going to break this out so we can kind of focus on certain aspects. So let's talk about the cold open here. So you get the introduction with Beverly Crusher, and then we'll stop right after the opening credits. Nathan, because you haven't joined us for any of the Picard stuff yet until today, I'll give you the honor of going first.
Okay, the cold open. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun. Been a while since seeing Gates McFadden. Well, anything really. I'm not that familiar with her acting career all that much outside of Trek. But I thought it was actually kind of, so it's fun to see her. And she probably did more in like that first couple of minutes than, probably like 5 or 6 episodes of Next Gen combined. But that was some cold-blooded shit that she was pulling down with that. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of repeating some of my mixed feelings of the show of everything's dark and gritty and, some blue lights in the background sort of thing. And sorry, are we at Chateau Picard?
No. The cold open only with Beverly Crusher and the intro, like the credits. If you wanted to talk about that, we'll stop there.
I thought the credits were fine. I got more to say about the end credits. I thought those were a little bit better. I don't know. Not much to say other than it's like, okay, we're jumping into the action. Fine, that's good. Gates McFadden looks like she's here to play.
Okay, Jeff, how about yourself?
Those bad guys had some real stormtrooper energy, didn't they? Can't hit shit.
No, they look like a cross between Stormtroopers and Death Dealer from Shang-Chi, kind of.
Yeah. So, I can only echo. Great to see Gates again. She doesn't do too much acting, I don't think. And you wonder if it's going to be, how difficult it's going to be for somebody to fall into their role again. But same as with Frakes, it's almost like she never left. So great to see her. Interesting open, we're into the modern TV. It's dark and gritty, and that's what they're going for with the series. And I'm all right with it. Has some Nemesis vibes already. I'm all right with it. And I kind of like that they got rid of the old opening credit sequences from seasons 1 and 2. They weren't great. They were going for something different. That's okay. And this is just more modern title card. got a couple cues from First Contact soundtrack.
Yes,
Great.
I wrote that down. Fantastic.
And, that just, I was like, yep, dig it.
Yeah, I will, echo your thoughts. Dig it. First Contact notes were the first two notes played right as the first scene that started there. I dug the good action. You guys talked about how they looked like stormtroopers. What was interesting to me is how they had the automatic laser rifles. They were shooting like they were M16s. I thought that was kind of cool. I liked it. There's a few scenes, and they keep talking about, especially with Raffi's character later. I'm not going to jump over there yet, but there's a lot of District this and District that, and these bad guys look like the aliens from District 9. They look like them, sounded like them. I'm not sure if there was something stolen from that design aspect of it, but that's what it felt like to me. But I'll say that the action was staged much better than in season 2. I don't know if you guys remember the shitty Borg battle they had on Earth in the past with Laris and all those guys, and they look like the actors didn't even know how to hold the rifle. At least here, Gates, with her experience from before and with the focus to the details now, looked like she knew what she was doing. And she even had the cartridge empty or the rifle jam on her, and she kind of looked at it and held it. It looked like it was proper. And I like the way she also got hit a couple of times, once in the shoulder, once in the abdomen. I thought that was really cool. It really built all the attention. And for Gates McFadden, who's done almost nothing in any of the movies or anything since she's had her own standalone episodes on the show, it was nice to see her have something here. Obviously looks much older than she used to, which is par for the course, but that was great. But the score was great. I love the First Contact and TNG music in the short but sweet credits, and I'm glad that those old credits were also vaporized just like these bad guys. So now we go back to Chateau Picard. We'll have the Picard scenes with Laris, Picard getting the signal. We will not talk about him and Riker going to the bar just yet. Just you can talk about the setup here with Picard and his interactions with Laris. Geoff, what are your thoughts?
I think Laris is one of the bright points of season 1 for sure. I don't necessarily want to say season 2 because there weren't really any bright points from that. But they created a good character it feels like almost without realizing that they created a great character. Maybe that's because the actor, she was really good and did really well with what she had, which was very much. So they feel obligated to keep bringing her back. I like that instinct. You find good people and you try to find a place for them. Unfortunately, I feel like it's going to be the same as sort of last season, which is, all right, well, we'll see you later. It's just kind of too bad that the show hasn't been able to find its space. It's like, okay, we're not TNG, we're Star Trek, we're not really Star Trek, and we got these other new characters, and the new characters sometimes are work. I feel like the characters they wanted to make work in this universe didn't, and they jettisoned just about all of them. We'll say they jettisoned every character except for Raffi because Jerry Ryan was never supposed to be a regular. She's great. So they're like, fuck, bring her in. And everybody else was just fat, they got rid of everybody else. And that's fine because they kind of stink. And so it's kind of a shame that the characters that do work don't get any time. So I'm sort of mixed on it. Maybe they should have just forgotten all about Laris, forgotten all about Chateau Picard. Maybe we don't need it.
Well, I think you do need it in the sense that the end of season 2, which is the dumb love story for Picard and dealing with his trauma and all that stuff, now he can be ready for a relationship. So it ends with them being ready for that. So obviously you need to start from that perspective. And obviously I don't know any spoilers, but just from what's going on here, I hope we don't see her again. That's my opinion.
We'll probably
she does not
see her. We'll see her eventually, but she's not part of it, right? We don't.
Fuck this Irish Vulcan character.
You don't like her?
No, I'm not a fan. It's not, whatever. Comes across as Irish. But anyways, I don't have nothing against the actor in play here. Doing fine. It's just I don't think she has chemistry with Picard in any scene here or in the past seasons. It's just a shoehorned plot device that they wanted to explore, and it didn't work. And I'm okay with her here because now you have to address it and now let her go away. That's my opinion. I hope she gets poochied and we never see her again. So that's my opinion. How about you, Nathan?
A little bit more with Geoff. I will agree that there's probably not a ton of chemistry necessarily between the two. You're dealing with, Patrick Stewart, who could just create chemistry just on his own. She's just doing fine, but I just feel like the writing is just not really there, not giving them anything. I'm sort of with Geoff. I think with her, they've created an interesting character in that, she's a former spy. So she would have been, the Federation would have been her enemy. And now, like,
Then
after
why not use her? So that's the whole thing.
Well, that's
If
the
she was-
that,
if
no,
the
that's
char-
what,
yeah,
that's what I
if the
mean.
char-
Like, that's the problem, right? Is that you introduce a potentially interesting character, and she is sidelined to just the maid, who's just kind of around sometimes. You know, she's like, trying to think of a good example. The first one that came to mind was like the aunt that would sometimes like walk on set on the old Batman 66 show. You know, like, no, it's Aunt whatever, and she would just like walk to the background, and it's like, so it's like this. We're like, why even make this a character that he interacts with? You know, it was, I don't know. I think that they tried to do something, and it's like, well, we don't really care about this, so we're just going to sort of move on. And what they did with her in season 2 is, I mean, just ludicrous. But I will say, I kind of want that painting of the Enterprise.
No,
Yeah.
I want that other one with the evil Picard, the Confederate Picard.
Oh, that
I'd like
yeah,
that one too. That was good.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
Actually,
but, I
you
mean,
know what? No, Confederate Cisco. There we go.
It would just look like regular Cisco.
No, but he wouldn't have any sleeves.
Yeah, he wouldn't have any.
That's
sleeves.
true. He wouldn't have any
Yeah.
sleeves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Cisco
He
that
might
punched
be
out.
wearing a straitjacket.
That's right.
Are you guys, sorry, weird tangent. I know we want to keep this under an hour. Are you, I don't know if you guys probably don't follow the Star Trek comics at all, but they did like a mirror universe of Next Generation and like evil universe Picard. Like, it's like an awesome uniform with no sleeves. And he's like super jacked.
Oh, of course he is.
Look,
Yeah, you need a painting of that. There you go.
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, like in First Contact when he lost the sleeves, I mean, he was pretty jacked.
That's
You know
not.
what?
That's not
No,
really jacked. But
yeah,
he was
he
in
had-
shape.
Sorry,
was in shape.
I forgot your subtle gradations of the male character.
Yeah, that's okay. He was in shape. He did some curls before that scene. Well, there's a trick. This is what Hugh Jack has said, is they don't have any water for the longest
Yeah.
time.
No, I know, I
And
know.
then they'll have a bunch of sugar water right before they're seen, and and that's when all the veins start popping and stuff like that. They deprive themselves just for those shots. It's not like he was in the gym. Like, Patrick Stewart's a reasonably fit man, always has been. He did some curls for First Contact. There you go.
Anyway,
I'm giving him a compliment.
It
So he
sounds more like a backhanded comp, but
Yeah. No. Harry's got essays on male physique, on like what's ripped, what's jacked, what's cut, what's fit, what's shredded, what's swole.
did we
How
talk
they
about
got
this?
there. We did. We have
Did
had
we
that
talk about this
happen
when we
before.
did Zardoz? I don't remember.
Was it Zardoz?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We've definitely talked. Definitely
Okay.
talked. Yeah.
So, well, that's a whole other podcast. That's the After Dark.
That's right. After Hours, right? Podcast. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, with the Chateau Picard, like up to like meeting Riker, I don't know. I mean, it's some setup, I guess. But I mean, if Laris wasn't there, I almost like wouldn't care. It's like, I didn't feel like I needed any resolution from what happened in season 2. Sometimes I always kind of laugh at like how the future sort of works in Star Trek, because he says, oh yeah, pack that up and send it to Geordi. Like, you can just beam it there. Like, you live in a world. Like, just
Exactly.
beam it. Yeah.
Good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah,
You are correct. This whole
much-
concept of moving and packing, it's just like, beam everything you have here to this room in this other place. Done.
Well,
They
also,
must-
like,
you know what they
also
probably
get
actually have?
ownerships.
They probably have mobile pattern buffers for non-organic material, right? Like you just beam it into the buffer, which is.
Do they have to set it up in that triangle formation that they do?
Well, that's
You know?
right.
Yeah.
But like the little kit that they kept Moriarty in, like that's basically a transporter buffer. They just like throw everything in there, walk it over to your spot, beam it back out.
Agreed.
It should be like that.
Agreed.
But then there's the philosophical question of, is it actually the same item or not?
Yeah, it is just kind of funny, like the way that they never, like Star Trek never really wants to deal with that idea.
That is a great
of it.
Star Trek episode right there.
Yeah.
You know, they beamed the Mona Lisa. Is it really now the same? Is it the value the same? No. Anyways, how about the message and him receiving message there?
I mean, that was fine. I don't know. It feels like it's like, okay, we just need the inciting incident to get him on his path to adventure. It just felt so like underwhelming in a weird way. Especially it's like, well, now we got to go at like nostalgia town of like, he's got to pull out the old uniform and get the old communicator. Okay.
Well, the
fine.
note, the note I had here is like, why make it so convoluted that it has to go through his old communicator? I mean, I find it's a subspace message. You don't think that she could encode it?
It is encoded.
Yeah, but
That's
then
the
it would
whole
just come
thing.
straight to him at his home, and he would have to unlock it or decrypt it using all of that kind of, experience and old.
It's not like that communicator is like a burner phone. Like, it's just, you can just send it to him. It's basically encrypted is what it is, right? So, because that's the other thing. It's like, oh, it's encoded. I'm like, that's kind of the wrong word. Like the word is encrypted. Like there's encoding, but then there's also encryption, right? If you want it to be secure, it needs to be encrypted, not just encoded. So sorry, Star Trek writers, you got your science wrong again.
They changed the meaning in the 25th century.
I guess that's got to be the only.
They flipped the script on that word. There you go. Geoff, yourself, anything about I mean, I agree with Nathan. It's a nothing scene. Any other comments here?
No, I don't care about that shit. It's fine.
Okay, let's move then to Picard and Riker at the bar. He calls Riker to meet at a bar, and then they have the conversation, and Riker's helping him decode with that Hellbird password hint that Beverly gave him in the transmission to figure out where the actual coordinates they need to find her. They have some nice jokes in the bar, some nice moments, pretty straightforward conversations. I mean, Nathan, any thoughts on the bar scene there?
Well, I mean, those two, I mean, they can just get right back into a rhythm.
Oh yeah,
like so easily. It's pretty great. I sort of liked how he was a little miffed about the Star Trek Ds not selling well, I guess.
The Fat Enterprise. It's the Fat Enterprise is what they called. Yeah. I laughed at that. That was pretty funny.
You know what's weird? Seeing Picard in a fucking beret. Like, I get it. You're French. Like, he should have had like a white and black striped shirt and smoking like a long cigarette or something.
With like a baguette hanging out of it.
Yeah. He's chewing on a baguette,
smoking. Like a little pencil mustache.
Did they do this in season 1 of Picard? Like he was overtly French in disguise. Oh, that was a terrible moment. It's bringing back bad memories. Anyways.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's sort of like a necessary scene. Like, okay, they're gonna get together. I don't know why it has to be in a bar. Like this weird clandestine meeting or something like that. It's kind of strange.
It's to make them cool. They're hip.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I suppose
where do you want it?
Well, that's okay. I like the bar. It was fine. I like the Enterprise jokes there. That was cool.
That's a good joke. So I think what Frakes is doing there, I've heard maybe you guys have heard the joke, but Frakes tells a story in almost every interview he does, his first Star Trek convention, and he goes to a booth that's selling action figures, and all they have are like Riker figures, and it was like 2 for 99 cents because nobody And I think the joke that Frakes says is like, I guess nobody wanted the fat one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You think he worked it in here?
100%. Oh, that's 100%
awesome.
the joke.
No, okay. I remember the story now. Yeah, you're 100% right. That was all done as a homage to his story. Yeah.
That is fantastic. I love that joke as Joe, and that's just all the more better now.
Yeah. I mean, the bar looked cool. It's like, okay, future bar. That's always fun.
As a bar goer and whiskey drinker myself, I always love to see people in a bar drinking in a movie or a TV show. Give me that scene every day. I'm in. Yeah. I'm in when my guys are drinking whiskey in a bar.
I mean, I agree. I almost kind of wish that it was just like we can kind of get like more of a casual look at it, but everything is moving at like such a breakneck speed almost so far up to this point. That's like, okay, because then there's a little bit more setup of like the day that's coming up, Starfleet Day.
It's called Frontier Day.
Frontier Day. Thank you. So it's like, okay, we got
what Frontier Day was. Did anybody say what Frontier Day was?
It's a celebration. No, nobody says what it is.
Okay, maybe that'll come up later.
I don't think it's ever been even mentioned before.
In the extreme secular future of Star Trek, they don't have days. We have Captain Picard Day and First Contact Day, and I'm pretty sure that's it.
Well, there was 2 other days they showed there. We'll get to Raffi.
There were, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know I didn't write down what they were, but one of them was Frontier Day.
Okay. They still do Christmas.
They do, because they had a Christmas party on the original Enterprise.
Yes, and Picard had a generation. Yeah,
that's
right. A Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a fine scene because it's fun to kind of see these actors get together like this.
I think that's the highlight of this episode is just them. It's like the 2 buddies going on, is what Riker says, ready for isn't it overdue for us to go on one more road trip? Yeah. And that was really cool. And I enjoyed the banter between them. I really loved how Riker was able to immediately decode this message. And, I was ready to make a joke again about Picard not being able to figure out anything, because strangely enough, on these first two seasons and this first episode of this season, again, Picard isn't on top of things despite even him having an android body and a brain. positronic brain.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of a little weird for me, but they're just kind of ignoring that. And he's just back to the typical old man trope and out of his league trope, which is fine. But I really liked how Riker was able to kind of quickly decode the Hellbird message or Hellfire message, whatever it was that Beverly gave in that message, and add those numbers and those digits so he could get the right coordinates and figure it out quickly. And in this scene, it's okay because it's when he said Picard was incapacitated as Borg, right? So Picard wouldn't have known any of this anyways. So I liked how the script and the dialogue went. And one thing is about this episode, it's really straightforward and simple, and the pace is fast. And I dug it. If you guys recall, season 1 of Picard, it took them 4 or 5 episodes for Picard to leave Earth.
Yeah.
And in this episode, they've done all the clues, everything's getting going. And he's left Earth. He's even gotten on another ship, and he's gotten to Beverly, and he's about to meet the bad guy all in the first episode. And I think that's fantastic. It's a great pace. It's a breakneck pace, but it's good.
Okay, so just a quick question then. So this code that Riker figures out that Beverly sends, is all of that happened when Picard was assimilated?
Yes, because Riker said that to him. And if you recall in the first, because I watched the episode when I came home from work, and then I watched the first half again before the podcast. So I saw the first half again, and I noticed in the cold open, Beverly is listening to a old log of Picard from Best of Both Worlds, or some altercation with the Borg.
It's like right before his capture when they're in the nebula hiding from them. That's the log. Yeah.
So I think she's using some information from that time to create a passcode or whatever. So they would be able to figure it out. But she sends it to Picard.
Yeah, but he was.
Exactly.
So why did she send that to him when he wouldn't know specifically?
You're right.
And also, he was assimilated for what, 45 minutes? I mean, all of this other shit happened.
No, I don't think 45 minutes. This is the same thing that was happening with Luke on Dagobah. Everyone thinks he was there for like a day. He was there for months, man. It's the same thing.
I think Luke was on Dagobah for 2 weeks. I think is the
months.
general.
No,
it
months.
wasn't months.
It was months. They had no hyperdrive to get to Bespin. Anyways,
well, then it would have been decades or centuries. And that doesn't track either. And that doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But in this case, I thot there were scenes where Picard was Locutus and they were going and still destroying some fleets. And
I think it
was like hours.
It's like maybe a few days tops.
Because the Borg go right to Wolf 359 after the Enterprise engages them, and they chase them down as soon as their warp drive comes up.
Yeah, they go through the Mars defense, which is like 3 shots, and they were done.
That's after Wolf 359.
Oh, I know. I just like the Mars defense, which is no defense at all.
Pop, pop, pop. It's like a Borg leaned out the window and threw a rock at
or
like a baseball bat at a mailbox.
That's like Canada's, naval fleet right there. It's like pop, pop, pop. Done. So there you go.
Actually, that's not exactly true, but we don't get into that.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, now let's talk about all of Raffi's scenes, because she's not interacting with anyone. She's on this planet trying to figure out some information, and then she goes on her ship and she's trying to decode the Red Lady, and then she finally decodes it, goes to this other planet or district, which then has a terrorist attack done upon that Starfleet base or whatever it is. So we have a few scenes of Raffi in this episode. Geoff, let's talk about Raffi and all of those scenes. And
well, I guess I was a little disappointed that she was undercover. I thought it's more interesting that she's just a fucking addict again, but it's hard to regress a character at that point. And this is kind of bullshit mystery boxing a bit. Red Lady. And like, what's the Red Lady? Like,
and didn't they do Red something on Discovery?
The Red Angel or something?
The Red Angel, yeah. I thought maybe there was going to be a connection there. And it turns out it's just a really badly colored statue of Rachel Garrett, captain of the Enterprise C. Yeah. And I don't know why. Like, she's the Red Lady? Like, I don't get any of that. It was just really weird. When I saw Rachel Garrett on the screen, she figures that. I'm like, okay, so there's going to be a connection there. No connection there. Just an Easter egg. I'm fine with that Easter egg, but that's just bad writing. It's just bad mystery box writing right there. And I'm glad they kind of...
At least they solved the mystery box. That's the one positive, right?
So
it's like there was a little mystery to get to this terrorist act, and that's it. At least it's not going to drag on else.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. It's nonsense. It's nonsense how they do it. Like, do something smart.
Oh no, he could have just said there's just rumor there's going to be an attack. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
All this Red Lady stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff, I'm like, okay, come on, guys, like let's put this together here. And I like Michelle Hurd, and I'm fine that she's back. I hope they give her something to do. When she comes out of the bar though, and then she's like gotta like take her communicator out and announce her like name and position, like okay, come on, guys, like can we
be more discreet? Be more discreet.
We'll be more discreet. I mean, they're saying it to me, the audience member.
No, what they were doing there is that they're telling you dramatically that she's really not that much of a crack addict.
That's what I'm saying.
She's undercover. However, she still has an addiction to
pull.
Yeah, she feels the pull. And later, when she's talking to the computer, it's like, 13 court-martials and still has a substance abuse problem.
Yeah, so
I don't know how this person's still around Starfleet, but anyways.
Well, I mean, I could see that's the kind of person you'd recruit to Starfleet intelligence, though.
Crack addicts?
But like that's the kind of person you want if you want plausible deniability if she gets caught somewhere. They'd be like, we've got her file right here, guys. I think she gets caught by like the Tal Shiar or like Klingons or something like, yeah, man, she's not with us. Look at this file. We don't employ crack addicts. You know us. We're fucking Puritans over here at Starfleet. Like that's the kind of person I could believe is with Starfleet intelligence. That's all fine. And it also reintroduces her character to people who haven't watched the show before. I didn't have a problem with that part. It was the part where she has to announce herself on the surface, like
it was very awkward. It was very strange. Like she may as well just like looked directly into the camera.
Yeah, maybe just like a discreet beam me up, and then she could just go into the rest of it, and we would pick that up. That'd be easy to. We don't need the rest of it. It's not good writing.
Well, I would say it's not good writing altogether with character, but I'm not a fan of the character. I think I've already talked about her enough. Anything else on Raffi? How about the terrorist act? The effects or how it was done?
So
they do?
Like they opened a wormhole and they did like if you guys played the video game Portal and it's like down.
I was gonna say it looked like a Doctor Strange portal, like opened up like.
That's awesome. That'd be awesome if he's the villain.
Kind of neat. It's a neat effect. I don't know why you don't just blow things up.
You just launched an entire fan fiction series of evil Doctor Strange versus Starfleet
versus Jack Picard. There you go.
There is a comic book series with TNG crossover with Doctor Who.
Yes. Oh. It's just a novel. This is a legitimately published novel that I saw in a bookstore. TNG versus the X-Men. I am not making that up.
Are you serious?
I am not making that up.
Wow.
Are you sure it was a novel and not a graphic novel?
No, it was just a regular novel.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that doesn't lend itself to the prose.
No, I agree.
I don't know how that works, but
no, I don't know. No, they've had weird. I think they even had like a Planet of the Apes crossover and a Green Lantern crossover as well.
They've done tons of bananas. Yeah, they did a Green Lantern Star Trek. They've done tons of bananas crossovers with Star Trek.
So no Star Wars for Star Trek crossover. They have all these other.
Not yet.
The obvious one staring in the face, right?
They had the Kelvin timeline versus the original timeline.
Oh, they did? I hope the original timeline just vaporized them all.
Original timeline after coming back from like the Kelvin times, like so bright, so many like flares everywhere. I can't stand it. It was a pretty good dig.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great. Okay, I'm not going to talk more about that Raffi stuff, except for that it was a cool effect about the building being portaled out and then dropped onto other buildings. That was kind of cool. And then the Rachel Garrett statue. At least they paid homage. It's a nice little Easter egg. I enjoyed that.
So she's so red.
Because she's the red lady. She looked like a gummy bear.
Yeah, she did.
No, she looked like a piece from like a board game that's just been like super enlarged.
Yeah, I hope Starfleet fired that contractor.
The same contractor that Calgary hires to do the artwork in the city.
Oh boy.
God. Many Republic credits spent needlessly. Any other comments on the red lady? No.
Why was she so red?
Also,
Geoff, I did not think that this would be a discussion point on today's show.
So confusing. It's so confusing.
I have a question. Where that attack took place, was that the same planet she was?
No, she was on District 6, and this is a different district. Again, I don't understand.
What's the planet?
Is it a different planet or the same planet? I'm assuming the same planet, but that's really convenient. Right? She was already on the planet, and then there's the planet again.
Wasn't it Narendra 3 was the planet, wasn't it? That the Enterprise C saved.
Yes.
Right? Is that right?
You're right.
This wasn't Narendra 3.
They only say district. This said district that.
No, they had the planet first, and then they went to they said whatever the planet was when they had they had the wide shot of the planet. At first, when we go to see Raffi, they had the wide shot of the planet. They said what planet it was, I don't remember. And then they zoomed into the bar and they specified District 6. And I don't know why they did that because of shit what district it is of this planet that we've never heard of.
Never heard of. It's so weird.
It's like going to a city and saying, "Oh, here's the neighborhood in this city." Like, well, who gives a shit? You're just on this planet. Like, what the fucking? I hate location card names. It's just
So do I. I'm not a fan of that. Never have been.
just dumb.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, maybe we'll find out more about that in the next episode, about which planet this was on. So let's now talk about some more of the stuff. So after the bar, so Picard and Riker. So Riker says he may have a workaround to get to those coordinates on the edge of Federation space. So he takes Picard to a starbase where the Titan is being refitted, and it's a Neo-Constitution class. And they meet the new captain, and the first officer is Seven, who now is not allowed to call herself 7 of 9. She goes by Annika Hansen. She's a bit frustrated. And we'll talk about everything now, all the way till the end of the show. So everything on the Titan, and then Picard and Riker finally, with Seven's help, gets to the place despite the captain's disapproval. And they get on board and they find that Beverly is in some kind of chamber, is frozen until she can be helped because she was injured in the beginning. And that's her son there. And then bad guys show up right there, and it's a little bit of a cliffhanger. So all of this stuff here.
When they were sort of plotting, like, oh, hey, we're gonna like try and pull a fast one or whatever, and they've got a little bit of bickering on the shuttle pod. I mean, again, like just the two actors, just the way they could just like fall right into the groove like that was great. I really like it's kind of dumb, but I mean, I really like the production design of the Titan. The decks look cool. I like the uniforms that everyone's wearing. I mean, I like the bridge, even though it's kind of falls into that, like, why is it so dark kind of nonsense.
I even like that the pillows on the bed are still those hard, weird pillows that nobody would sleep on.
Yeah, and that was actually kind of funny. Like, that was just being relegated to like cadet quarters.
So then what about then your impression of this new captain treating him that way?
That was fucking weird. Like, it's so strange though that like right from the top, this Captain Shaw is just a dick to them, as though I don't know if he actually thought that there was like something up or whatever, but it is kind of weird though that you would sort of treat basically Starfleet royalty like that. I mean, I don't know much about naval traditions, but I'm almost certain to kind of show that sort of disrespect to elder statesmen. I mean, that does not look well upon you to your crew, other than you're just a fucking dickhead. Although I guess maybe that kind of goes to his character, because obviously 7 of 9, aka Annika Hansen, or is it the other way around? I don't know.
Annika Hansen, yeah, that's right.
No, is it Annika Hansen, aka 7 of 9, or is it 7 of 9, aka So
yeah,
it's a loop. It's a loop.
Yeah,
you just say it.
Yeah, I guess like the fact that she's frustrated by this captain, I guess maybe like that's maybe what they're going for. That's like, this guy is just kind of like a fucking turd.
He's like a Jericho kind of guy.
Jellicoe, yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Oh, that would have been great if they actually got
Ronnie Cox.
Back. Oh shit.
Can you imagine?
I mean, I guess
still.
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, he is.
That'd be
no, maybe not.
Quagan.
I just had to check. Yeah, no, he's still alive. I mean, he's 84, but
they could just put him in one of those Christopher Pike wheelchairs and just give like a beeping light.
Yeah. Actually, the other character we get introduced to is Alondra. Is that her first name? Alondra LaForge?
I didn't get the first name, but yes, LaForge.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I didn't quite catch it either. I thought that was really awkward, the way they were just trying to embarrass her like that on the.
Well, yeah, that was the note I made. Is like, they're all excited to see her, which is great. I love the affection they have towards her, but like they do embarrass her in front of everybody.
It was so old man
really
behavior.
weird.
It was so old man. Like, I was like, oh, you guys, like you're being creeps. Like, this is not cool.
It's like, yeah, like, didn't you crash that shuttle that time?
Twice.
Yeah, oh, jeez. But then the dinner with Captain Shaw there was kind of, I mean, it's weird. And I didn't know if this was part of the plan or not. It's like, oh, they kind of knew who Shaw. I don't know.
No.
It was.
You could see Riker and Picard both had a look of shock on their face.
But
and then afterwards they said,
yes,
we don't know what we're going to do short of mute.
Afterwards. But I was just like, okay, are the writers are they pulling like a switcheroo where it's like, oh, no, plan is failed. Oh, but they expected him to do that. Like, it's just feels like it was set up for something.
No, you're kind of right. The writers are doing this, and this is my prediction, that he'll be a nice guy and a friend at the end of the season. Like, he'll have a turnaround. That's my guess.
I guess.
Or he'll be killed off and then Seven gets to be captain. There you go.
That almost feels a little more likely.
Yeah.
That she'll get to be captain by the end. And yeah, he'll be. This isn't the Fast and Furious where we just bring everyone along to the next one. Everyone's
all about family.
Now. It's all about family.
Space.
Family in space.
Isn't that the next one? They're in space or something?
They already went to space.
Oh, they did? Oh,
yeah, that was the last one. So
I didn't watch that. I was dead. I'm dead.
I was done after the
Totally.
pinnacle of the series, which was Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. That was the pinnacle of the franchise. And after that, I was out, called it.
Called it? Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
It's a
You
little-
can't top a drift, Harry. You cannot top a drift.
Oh, they have topped it unbelievably so,
Nope.
but they've done it.
Nope.
That's actually
No, they
the
have
only
not.
one I have not seen.
Tokyo Drift is low-key really good.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the only one I haven't seen, even though it's like now like
All
poured
in
to a
on Fast
series.
and the Furious. You have not seen Tokyo Drift?
No, I did not see it.
I'm not joking. It's good.
Is it like good as in like 5 and 7 good, or just like better
Well,
than
it's a
1
different
and 2?
movie. Well, you've seen 2, right?
Yes, and that's a
Okay,
sack. That's
so-
garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, so then you got to watch Tokyo Drift because Tokyo Drift is actually good.
Okay. Well, I mean, at some point, I'm going to watch all of them before Fast 11. Good God, comes out. Anyways, I was back to the show. I was a little disappointed that their whole plan was just to go on a ship and just try and order the captain.
Yeah, that is
to
a
go
little
here.
bit
like
weird.
Did they think
It's
this
like-
plan was going to work?
Yeah, like I don't understand. You don't think like they could have done like a charter thing? It's like just go to the same bar where that guy with the big ears is. It's like Genesis. Just do that. Why are
And
they
that's-
trying to trick this captain?
And that's why I thought the whole thing was like going to be a switcheroo when he said no, because they're like, wait, is their plan that stupid? Like they're just going to order him? Like, anyways.
Well, okay, so I am not an expert on Navy protocol either, as Nathan mentioned. But I feel like if two guys who basically have no position in Starfleet at all, right? We got a retired admiral and a captain who doesn't have a ship, show up on some ship and be like, oh, surprise inspection.
Now we want
I
you to go somewhere
feel
else.
like, yeah, we're going to go here. I feel like the captain of the ship's going to be like, cool, real quick, I'm just going to go call Starfleet Command. Just real quick on this one. You guys go ahead and have this. Like, I'm sorry. That's really
Well,
dumb.
so
I agree.
It is dumb.
100%.
It is dumb, but TNG has done this and circumvented this bullshit all the time.
When?
You know, it's just like, oh, well, here comes an admiral or here comes a high-ranking officer or someone with respect and say, hey, no, I need you to listen to me and we're going to be doing this. And
That's an actual admiral issuing orders on an actual mission from Starfleet Command.
I
They've
know what
never
you're saying.
been like, who's this
No,
admiral?
I know. These are all
never.
I agree with, but these are all loose rules in the Star Trek TV land.
Yeah,
this is what happens.
No, this has never happened before. Never. Even in Star Trek 3, when they had to commandeer the Enterprise,
I know.
they knew that they had to
defied orders. Yeah,
steal
he had to
the
steal it.
ship and sabotage another ship in order to get away with it, and they knew that their careers were over.
They should have done that here. That would have been fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They should have either done that here or done what Nathan said and what they did in season 1, which was let's hire ship.
Hiring the ship is your first
And-
logical step.
and
it's
like,
yeah.
What's the one thing Beverly told Jean-Luc not to do?
Don't involve Starfleet.
Don't involve Starfleet. That's the first thing he fucking does. Not only does he go to Riker, who's still in Starfleet, he goes to Riker and they get a Starfleet ship.
It sort of seems like between the two of them, you tell me these two guys, these two legends of the galaxy, don't have like a couple of favors they can call in to get a fucking ship.
And that's what I was going to say is like, you could, if you want to just do the whole, we don't know how to get through this, we need an easy way to write over this huge hole in the drywall. It's, I called in some favors.
Yeah.
Done. That is so much better than all of this nonsense that they went through here. Not to mention, and I'm sorry to step on, it wasn't officially my turn. 1, Riker's old ship, the Titan, close at hand in space dock that they can commandeer. 2, happens to have 7 of 9 as its first fucking officer. And 3, happens to have the daughter of Geordie LaForge as its helmsman. I'm sorry. All of that is absolutely, it's just so fucking lazy. It's such lazy writing.
The Force works in mysterious
If
ways.
only, I mean, I'll give you one of those 4 things. I'll give you one of those things, but not all of them. That's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the plan on top of it all being, oh, we're just going to show up. And the hubris of it to show up and be like, this is going to work. This is totally going to work.
100%. The plan is really, really weird. It's like, we're just going to go there. And Riker even says, we're going to have to convince them.
Yeah.
How do you work that out?
And they don't even do that part.
No, they don't. They didn't even try it. They just expect their legendary status to carry it through.
Which
I actually
would
really like.
have been fun, actually, if they saunter on there thinking they're hot shit.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, you don't belong here. We're putting you in the brig.
Hold on, but this fits with Captain Picard's ego. In season 1, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, he goes to Starfleet headquarters and he's shocked to find that nobody knows of who he is.
Well, not
and he
only
doesn't
that,
have the pull anymore.
You're right. And not only that, when he goes and he's like, I'll accept a provisional occasional demotion to captain in order to carry out this mission, and they're like, what? Get out of here. That was good, because he does have, of course he has an ego. Would have worked good is if they had sauntered on there and they'd be like, well, you guys can like hang out in the observation lounge, but we got a mission to get going on here. So,
what I would have loved? All of this could have been forgiven is if Riker told this new Captain Shaw, he told him to shut up, and he said, I want you to shut your mouth, as in stop talking. He does
close your mouth
and stop talking. In the same manner, if he did that scene, awesome.
If he could have just, it would have been better if he had just punched him out or something and like, okay, but they weren't ready. Now, so to go in, I actually really like the Shaw character. He's a douche. And Harry, my love of asshole characters. He was great.
We need to explore this one day, Geoff. I
think it's just fun to see a character who's not bad or evil. He's just kind of an asshole. And he was fun to watch. Yeah, he's totally right.
He's totally right. But he was an asshole. So we agree.
Both. Yeah, he's both. And I loved his line. He's eating dinner and they get there and they're like, oh, are we late? And he's like, no, your reputation. I started when your reputation entered the room or something like that.
It's a great line.
Such a good line.
But like, what a fucking asshole.
I know.
Shit.
It was a great line. Yeah.
I need to punch this motherfucker out, honestly.
It's great. Yeah, no, you want to punch him. And that's why it's just so much. It's fun to have these characters, especially in Star Trek. We don't get a lot of these types of characters. And it was just good. And yeah, he's, it was great.
It's funny how that's reversed. Now the admirals are the good guys and the captains are the assholes. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, definitely a twist of fate for sure.
We needed that other admiral to come accompany Picard. What was her name? One that needed to be
Nechayev?
Nechayev. She needed to be plowed by Picard the whole time.
What we actually need is a Commodore. We haven't had a Commodore.
Commodore. Oh my god.
Commodore.
Didn't they just kind of do away with that?
Well, no, they had a Commodore in season 1. She was a Romulan spy.
Oh,
that's if you guys remember. Yeah, but that's the first Commodore we've had since the original series.
In which they took orders from her to go near Romulan space and do whatever she wanted.
That's right. Yeah.
So there you go.
But I'll say, I will say this. I know I've been talking shit on this episode. Wasn't it great though that they focused the whole episode on Picard and Riker? Like they spent the whole episode
and
together hanging out.
Everything was great. As they said, road trip.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And then even when they were like afterwards, like he put them in that cadet cabin.
They're on the bunk beds there.
They're in the bunk beds. That was so funny. That was awesome. And they're just talking to each other. And it reminded me of Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
Where Kirk and Bones are talking to each other.
In the prison camp there.
In the prison camp. Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy we got scenes like this.
Me too. All of this bullshit that we've been talking about is worth it for me. Most of it is worth it for Picard and Riker to just basically be hanging out. It's fantastic.
And you also didn't get a couple of the lines there when they were on the shuttle going to the Titan and like Riker saying, yeah, we got to make it work. You got to sell it. You got to give that scowl of the thing. And then he gives him that, Picard gives him that look and he goes, oh, there it is. And it's like so great. The one thing is, actually, I want to say this, even though they work really well off each other and they always have, to me, the star of this episode is Frakes. Yeah. That's just my honest opinion.
No, I think you're right.
He carries this fucking episode. He is a boss. And just like Shatner playing Kirk, and it's not in the same exact way, but there's a sparkle in his eye. There's that charisma.
Yeah.
And it's just that joyous presence that's there. There's a presence with him, and I'm glad like Stewart feeds really well off him here and they work really well together. But oh my God, Riker steals the show.
The Riker glint.
The Riker glint. Everything about him.
And like Frakes.
So great.
Frakes doesn't act. He hasn't acted. I mean, I know he's in a couple episodes of season 1, but he hasn't acted since TNG left the air. And he just fucking rolls right back into the role. It's incredible.
That's because Frakes is right, Geoff.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of
course.
I just watched an interview. You guys know who Michael Rosenbaum is? Yeah. So he's got like his own little talk show on YouTube and he had Frakes on there this week and it's like, oh, Frakes is just Riker.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Frakes is game, man. He'll go on everybody's podcast. He'll do every little YouTube show and it feels that he loves it so much. He's so into it.
We got to get him on the show there, Geoff. There you go.
I would be so intimidated to talk to Frakes.
Why?
The guy's like 6'3". I mean, I don't know. Because he's a legend. He's a god.
He's not sitting beside you.
He's a legend, but I would see him mounting that chair in my mind's eye. He is a god among mice if it was us, for sure. Now, after a couple drinks at a bar, I could probably...
Anyways, I love me some Frakes. He was a boss. How about LaForge's daughter, whatever her first name?
I just said what her name is.
Oh, sorry, I forgot what you said.
Sydney.
Fair enough. And then we talked about Captain Shaw. And how about Seven? Let's talk about
it was Alandra. Sorry.
It's Alandra, not...
Alandra. The other... He has another daughter. That's LeVar's actual daughter.
Yes. She did a good job. Good first impression there.
And I assume she'll be around for a few episodes, right? Like, I assume that.
Well, I'm assuming the Titan's going to stick around for a while here. So,
Yeah.
in this season. So, let's talk about Seven quickly here. Any comments on Seven? Her frustrations? I know you don't like the coincidence that she's the first officer here, Geoff. I get it. Be that as it may. Your thoughts?
Jerry Ryan's still a fucking comet. I love Seven of Nine as a character. I love Jerry Ryan. I'm glad she's here. I will accept the coincidence for her presence. Great to see her in a Starfleet uniform. You know what I actually want is, after season 3 of Picard, I want a spin-off. I want Star Trek 7 of 9 as her as the captain of her own show. I want that Star Trek show. She's magnetic. She just does it all.
I will have to disagree. I want Star Trek Cisco.
No, you can't have Star Trek Cisco because they can't film in insane asylums. It's actually a law. It's like cemeteries. You're not allowed to shoot in cemeteries. You just can't go in there.
That makes it all the better. I need Cisco. Anyways,
you could probably do like a Paranormal Activity style show, like a found, right? With him
Paranormal Activity
in there,
Cisco.
You know, but it'd be him like flashing back to that, like when he's like that author, and then
yeah, that's right.
That's about all you could do.
Awesome.
Favorites.
I'll take it. It'll be the best season ever of Trek. Okay, so how about yourself then, Nathan? Any comments on Seven here before we get to the end?
I mostly just kind of agree with Geoff. I mean, I think like kind of setting up her frustration with like sort of like her, what Starfleet has now turned into for her after like having been rejected. It's weird because I did not really feel like a huge journey for her in Voyager up until like the very end of the show. And then it's sort of briefly mentioned, I think, in season 1 of Picard. And so to see this here, it's like, oh, like, you know, be careful what you wish for. She's like, is this even what I'm supposed to be doing, sort of thing.
But I like that. I mean, I think that's, that's interesting.
I think that's good because that's a good, like, that's actual character development that we're actually getting.
Right.
And even the way Captain Shaw there gets more character development than I think a lot of other characters in like previous seasons even get, without even anyone even really around him. Like the dinner scene is really good, but even when Seven says the captain's invited you to dinner, and Riker's kind of excited, and she's like, it's like, it's like, you know, temper your expectations or something like that. It's like, it was all like really great setup. The fact that she just kind of like just went out and like disobeyed orders, I guess, in a way.
Well, this is part of the course for Trek.
Yeah, in a way, directly disobeyed orders, I think. But anyway,
every Star Trek character has done that. Cannot argue.
No, it's fine.
Oh, that's true.
Fine.
It's a long tradition. Yeah, I'd be down for a 7 of 9 Star Trek spinoff. We can have it all, guys. Like we don't have to like have only one at a time. We can have multiple.
Well, exactly. Like I think it's actually a good idea. I think like she could lead a show. She's great. She's charismatic. You could do a show that has a smaller cast, and part of it is like her flashbacks to her journey between Voyager and now, or you know, like she's with the Fenris Rangers and all that stuff. Or you could just get rid of all that. She's just.
I'd say get rid of all it because it's like at some point you got to answer the Chakotay question. It's like we don't need to bring Beltran into this.
No, but he got zapped into the future. If you guys watch the cartoon Star Trek Prodigy, we answered the Beltran question.
Oh, we do? Okay, I have not watched that.
I have not.
It's actually pretty solid.
I hear it's good. I've been meaning to watch it. I had a hard time getting through like first episodes.
In a good way, it has a real Saturday morning cartoon vibe to it, and that's a compliment.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, you got kids. It's right in the wheelhouse for your kids.
No, I have tried. Star Trek is a no to them.
They're kids. You make them do what you want. That's how it works.
Again, that ship has sailed, Geoff.
Do you want breakfast? Watch this TV show.
Okay, that's tomorrow. Okay, or Saturday. There you go.
There you go. Saturday morning.
Okay, fair enough. I will give that a go. I'll let you know what happens next time. Okay, so now Picard and Riker. So Seven disobeys orders, takes him to those coordinates, the edge of Federation space. So Picard and Riker head to Beverly's ship, board it, meet her son, which is the surprise twist, and then they get the cliffhanger saying, "Well, who's chasing you?" And then the big bad rolls out. You see the ship. I got vibes of Nemesis here, coming out with that ship, the scimitar or whatever it is from Nemesis, and the nebula and all that stuff. You know, this is a trope in Trek now. It looks like we're going to and we can talk about it, guys, just from the trailers. It looks like there's a character. Amanda Plummer plays this character who seems to be out for vengeance against Picard, or perhaps Crusher, or the whole TNG crew. We can get into that because we know the whole crew's coming back for this series, except for Data, even though Spiner's here. So let's talk about the last few scenes here.
I had the same thought that you did. I had some Nemesis vibes there, the Scimitar, or even Nero's ship from Star Trek '09, the Romulan mining ship, because this is the same era, or well, actually much after that. So I had some similar vibes there. I hope she acquits herself better than the villains in Nemesis. Okay, it's fine. As soon as because I knew that guy was on the show. I'd seen pictures of him.
Who?
Sorry, her son.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know that it was her son when you see pictures and stuff. So here's some guy who's a character. As soon as he shows up, it just popped in my head. Oh, is that her son? And
I hope it's not Picard's son.
Begs the question, is Picard's son? I don't think they're going to do that.
I hope they don't. They really play up the fact that, well, why didn't she talk to us for 20 years? Which was really odd to me as well.
And I think if it's Picard's son, she doesn't just be like, I better get out of here, cut and run. Then it begs the question, who is the father? And then you got to go all that stuff. And anyway, well, I guess those questions will be answered and we'll see. And hopefully they don't drop the ball on any of that. We don't know anything about the villains. It's interesting. They didn't really do this too much on this show. They did it a little bit where like the production design always lets you know that this alien is the bad guy. But very rarely did they make it so overt until you get to, until you get to Star Trek Nemesis with these pointy, sharp, aggressive looking spacecraft that you just probably wouldn't design. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm not a big fan of that type of design for spaceships. Like, why do you make it look like it's a big crab? Like that doesn't seem practical. Mm-hmm. So I'll criticize that. That's a nitpick for sure. I didn't get a chance to talk about the design of the Titan, which I love.
So awesome.
Yeah, like it's got kind of that chunky Starfleet. Like
it's a modern Constitution class. They call it the Neo Constitution. Yeah. It feels like the original Enterprise.
Absolutely.
I love it. I'm in love with that ship.
Oh. I think it looks great. I like they kind of go to that design because sometimes when they go to different designs, is they try to like out sleek the old designs all the time, and I think that's a mistake, especially when you get to Discovery and they go to the future and everything's just like they got these weird points and angles and stuff, and I just don't think it looks good. I think this is resonating with both of us, Harry, and I'll assume Nathan as well. Like it has that look where it calls back to the old design while still feeling like a new design, Yeah, and they did a great job with that. So I like that. Even Beverly's ship, sort of a similar feel to it, where it called back to the old stuff but still looks new. I think that's the right direction. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested, and that's more that I could say after watching first couple episodes of the first two seasons.
For some reason, I kind of had like the impression that was going to be her son. I don't know why. I just kind of thought that. And so like the reveal was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I did sort of, and I like the design of her ship as well. Because it also, is it supposed to be older slightly?
I got that impression anyway.
Yeah, like older, smaller. It's just a medical vessel.
Yeah. Well, older in the sense that it's more from like the classic next gen era.
Because it has the old like LCARS interface system, not the new updated one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So all that I kind of like. I kind of wish we had like a little bit more time of them being on her ship, and it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? Riker's kind of like looking through the ash, like, what kind of weapon does this sort of thing? And then sort of the reveal of the other ship. It's sort of a weird mash of like a couple of different things. It also has like a little bit of like Ferengi design almost a little bit as well. It's strange, like, because next gen sort of introduced like this, like these sleeker types of ships that are not. It looks like kids' idea of like what a bad guy's spaceship is supposed to be,
Like, and that's kind of what I was trying to say. If you look at the TNG version of the Romulan Warbird, for example, it does look menacing, but it still has like a real sleek and a very cool design, but still very sleek. And it's not this is a bad guy.
Yeah. It's like basically like adding like a bunch of like spikes to like a leather jacket. So, like that's like, I'm cool, man. I'm a badass, and you're right. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's like, okay, I sort of wish we had a little bit more. Who is that actor, by the way? He looks familiar.
I didn't recognize him.
No, I didn't recognize him either.
Does he just like look like generic British actor guy?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll have to look him up later. But yeah, he looked kind of familiar to me.
He has a British accent, but he might be French.
Despite being raised by Gates McFadden, who is what? Irish? Scottish? There you go.
I believe so, yeah. So I guess he just grew up listening to Picard's old mission logs.
Yeah, those old personal logs. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the ending's fine. It's like, okay, cool. We've got kind of the reveal. I am curious to see whose ship is that, because I feel like we've got like two villains to contend with in this show based on the trailer.
We've seen the trailer. Why don't you take a minute? So obviously we know that you've seen the trailer too, Geoff, right? All the trailers?
Yes, I have.
So then we know that Moriarty's coming back in some form, and Amanda Plummer seems to be the one hell-bent on all of this destruction. I'm assuming the ship has Amanda Plummer, and I'm assuming she'll be in line with Moriarty in some way or another.
I feel like he's going to end up being an ally.
Really? Okay, interesting. Interesting guess. And then obviously, we can't have all the cast back without Brent Spiner, who will rear his head again in some fashion here.
They showed him in the trailer. He's Lore.
He's in the trailer, yeah.
He's in the trailer as Lore. So, I don't know how this all fits together. We'll find out. But you guys have any comments for that before we wrap this up for today?
Like the idea of having him back, or?
Yeah, Lore, Moriarty, this other character.
Seeing Moriarty come back is crazy, but kind of good. I like that. I don't think that he'll be maybe a villain. I think he'll be a foil of some kind, but not an like bad guy, the way like Lore is like more of an evil type of character who's directly antagonistic.
I just hope they don't shoehorn all these characters in. Like, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this episode. I think it can be a good thing, but I hope it doesn't end up being a bad thing. It just now feels like this character, like this season's not going to be the exploration of any social commentary or anything. It's not going to dive into anything that Patrick Stewart wanted to dive in for his own exploration and vanity project's sake and all that stuff. It's just going to be, here's the crew. It's going to be, here's a villain, and they're going to fight the villain all together. And that's pretty much what I'm thinking this season's going to be. Okay. Kind of like more of a celebration of Star Trek without doing anything meaningful. There still could be meaningful moments for the characters. We got some here with Riker and Picard talking together and being together and hanging out together. This is all good things. But I guess then your thought about it. You're going to get 10 episodes. It's not a 2-hour movie. It's a 10-hour episode thing. If it's not discussing anything meaningful, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or is it just a wait and see? We'll see what happens here. I guess question to you guys. Well, the first 2 seasons didn't work. And they didn't.
No, they didn't work. And there's a lot of reasons why they didn't. But the attempt at social commentary isn't the reason why they didn't work. It didn't work because they were poorly written. And that's really what it kind of comes down. They were poorly written. And 2, they weren't Star Trek. There was nothing Star Trek about either of those seasons. The first one had a little bit more Star Trek in it than the second one. I don't care what Patrick Stewart says. You can be as different as you want. It's still got to be Star Trek. And what's great about Star Trek is Star Trek can be everything and anything. We've all watched every hour of Star Trek. And from the original series all the way to Discovery and Strange New Worlds, like you can be a comedy one week and a sci-fi bender one week and a Western and fucking family drama. It's everything. So that's a good thing and a bad thing when you're a writer is like, what do we make? We can make whatever we want. Action adventure. It can be a submarine, cat and mouse thriller. Like it could be whatever we want, but you kind of got to pick something.
You have to focus. Yeah.
You got to focus. And now when you're doing TNG, original series, or even Strange New Worlds, where you're doing like just episode by episode, you don't really need to pick. You just have to pick one for this episode. And then next week you can do the other thing. Like I want to do a Western. Cool. Episode 14, Western. I want to do a comedy. Cool. Episode 18. And there's room for it. And it's almost like you almost have room to fail. Like if it's not going to work, doesn't matter. We have 25 other episodes this season to make the show work. Like that was an asset in a sense back then. Here, and I've talked about this before when we reviewed the show, you only have 10 episodes. So you can't waste any time. However, what I got the impression of the first 2 seasons is they were so obsessed with making it not suck that they made it suck. Like they just were so scared of it not being awesome that they didn't actually do what they set out to do, which was do something different. And they just ended up doing something that was boring in a sense, right? So if they're just going to do cat and mouse game, we're going to fight the villain and blow her up, great, do that. Wrath of Khan did that. It was awesome. If you want to do more political thriller intrigue, do that, right? Star Trek 6 did that, and it was fucking awesome. If you just want to do, we're going to beat the villain, First Contact did that, and it was fucking awesome. So I hope that they figure out what they want to do there and give the characters their payoffs, because unfortunately, nobody ever got their payoffs. Really not. I don't think a single character really got his payoff in TNG, if you take the movies into account. I think they really owe a lot of people that send-off, so if they're able to do that, well, just finding the right way, we got a lane here. And for all of the shit that I've talked in this first episode here, I think they've got a straight shot at it, and I'm really, really hoping, and I'm optimistic that they can hit it.
I think I largely agree with Geoff, and when I looked it up, my heart was lifted to see that Akiva Goldsman is not involved in any of the writing.
I think Kurtzman's far away from this season as well, so that's a good.
Yeah, so I mean, even though they are still producers,
They're just getting money off of it. It's a
Yeah.
sad world where they're getting rich off other people's work. And, whatever. I don't want to say anything more. I only have bad things to say.
That's a whole, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So let's get into our final thoughts here. So Nathan, your thoughts on this first episode?
Okay, so I mean, it still has, I think, some of the same problems that the other two seasons have with just kind of meandering, and some of the writing is a little bit weak at times, and not realize too much on, but has too many, hey, you remember this sort of thing going on. But I feel it's a little bit stronger than anything I've seen so far, or what I remember of season 2. I am hopeful that this is actually like a good start.
Okay. Geoff, you can have last. Oh. I dug it. My heart was fluttering through this episode. There are problems, as you talked about, with the story and some of the coincidences and them not having a plan. Riker and Picard getting onto the Titan, and the ego and the hubris of, them thinking that's going to work. So that's kind of funny. And, there's some bad writing here. But this episode just felt joyous to me. It's like a step in the right direction. You're kind of back to the wagon train to the stars kind of thing in that sense. We talked about Riker having that kind of spirit and charisma, sparkle in the eye kind of thing. I really dug it, and I really, really loved the fact that this episode, the pacing of this episode, it did not linger. It did not just stop in its tracks like the first 2 seasons of Picard. As I said, season 1, it took 4 or 5 episodes for them to leave fucking Earth. And here they did it in 1 episode and more. More things happened even beyond that. And that was fantastic. So I feel like we are on track to something of an improvement to the other 2 seasons. And, this felt like more of a celebration of TNG, which is what I think I felt I needed based on the last 2 episodes of Picard, which were slogs. They were garbage shit seasons, and I hated it. I didn't enjoy any of it. And I enjoyed this episode. From the production design to the acting, to the performances, to the pacing, to the details. You talk about Elcar system. You talk about ship design. You talk about the new Titan Neo Constitution class. And then the score is absolutely incredible. We didn't talk about the end credits there. You get the first contact music along with the TNG music. And through the whole episode, you get a little bit of that Star Trek 3 music when they're leaving space dock, some hints of Star Trek 2, hints of First Contact. It just made me feel right at home. And, they could trick you with these kind of things, making you feel comfortable and saying that's enough. But I'm hoping that they will have a tighter season, a little bit more focus, and that's where we'll judge later. But it's a great start. I loved this first episode. Best episode of Trek probably since the first episode of Discovery for me. And I do not watch Discovery anymore. I stopped after season 2. I watched a few episodes of season 3. I was done. I do dig Strange New Worlds a little bit. It's not perfect. To me, this is the best episode since the pilot of Discovery, and way better than anything JJ gave us. I'm on board. I love it. Geoff, you get the last word.
Yeah, I'm all set. I had plenty of criticisms of this episode, but if this is what the season's going to be, I'm in. And hey, listen, if it's a cynical cash in, that's fine. That's fine, as long as it's right. If what they're going to do is give me the next generation crew in various permutations and combinations and show me how those actors work together and those characters work together again, I'm good. I will probably forgive it just about any storytelling weakness, because there were a lot of them in this episode. And at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about any of that, because the Riker Picard stuff was magic. They were on point with it. And if we're going to do that with all of the TNG characters for 9 more episodes, yeah, I'm in, baby.
Oh, fantastic. So Picard is on the right track, finally. And hopefully it stays the course. Second start to the right, straight until morning. Let's hope that happens. So thank you, gentlemen. I know we went over by half an hour here on what our target was, but it is Star Trek, something we'd love to talk about. So just so you guys know, and anyone else who will be listening, maybe we will not do episode by episode breakdowns. Geoff, I think you agree. Let's maybe do every 2 episodes from this point forward, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Beauty.
All right. Well, see you guys after episode 3.
Looking forward to it.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Why was she so red?